Hello and welcome to Hanratty on Karate. So I just realized I've been banging out these podcasts for over a year now. I think this is like episode 70. So that's one a week, so 70 weeks, well over a year, yeah. Now, I've probably been repeating myself on a couple of topics. You tend to do that when you get my age. But a few things that, they kind of get up your nose and you realize you didn't say enough on it, and there's some topics that just need a little bit more in-depth. So one of the things that I've really tried to promote over the years is the certification of instructors. As it stands right now in many countries, I know North America, anybody can just call themselves whatever downgrade they want if they want to downgrade, or they can tell people that they've got downgrades in multiple disciplines and open up a school, and people trust their kids to them and bring them along. There's no safeguard, really. And I realized that this is probably the way it was at the start. And the only way you had of qualifying an instructor if you were looking for a club was to go along and check him out. Now, I was particularly lucky in the fact that I came up against some really, really good instructors when I first started karate. And they kind of been my models for how to pass on what they taught me and what I've discovered for myself and what research I've done. I've held it up to the type of instruction that I've got and seen if it fitted the mold. And usually it does. Now, over the past, I would say 20 years, what I've tried to do is go for an instructor certification that will stand the test of time and also be recognized as something that would be desirable in any kind of karate club or martial arts club. Now, why I did this, when I first came to Canada, I found out that they had a national coaching certification program. It wasn't particularly for karate, it was generic. But there was a certification program for people who wanted to get in and learn how to coach young people, whether in a team environment or individual environment or whatever. Basically, you were taught basic physiology and psychology of coaching, the different methods of teaching, and of course the different methods of learning, because they're all different. And I went as far as I could on the general side of NCCP. I think I finished level 3 in 1983. So at that time, I was probably the highest NCCP guy working in karate. And then I put together a technical level, which was specific to karate. And we put that up, and I'm not sure how far it's gone now, because when you're getting anything that's in an association or, you're getting people together, you're going to get politics rear its head. But I've always maintained that if you're going to teach kids, in fact, if you're going to teach anybody, you should be certified and not self-certified. That's, just not right. And the part of that certification process should state what your responsibilities are as an instructor, and it also should have an ethical side to it. Now, a lot of the clubs you see opening up, they don't have either. There's no responsibility on the side of the instructor, and there's a lot of ethical pitfalls that you come across. So I wrote a handbook on instruction, a Shotokan instructor's handbook, and it went through many changes over the years. I kept it just in-house, just for my students and my own instructor program. And eventually I published it, and it's been quite popular over the, I think, 5 years it's been in publication. In fact, Amazon keep it online and keep selling it. So, I'm happy with that. There's a lot of work goes into it, and if you want to find out how much you know about a subject, sit down and start to write about it. And you're going to find out that you probably know a lot more than you think you know. And it's not what you put into something, a publication such as that, especially if it's a technical publication for educational purposes. It's not what you put in at all, it's what you have to leave out. Obviously, there's a vast amount of experience and resources that you can fall back on to help you with this kind of project. And what you really need to do is sort out what you're going to put in and what you're not going to put in. So it's quite the undertaking. And then this comes to certification. I wish there was some level of certification that you could look to and say, this is acceptable by a government or an educational body, and this is what we should all attain to. We should try to get this certification if you want to be an instructor, and you should not be allowed to open a club or a class or a school of any type instructing people in something as dangerous as martial arts. Let's face it, it is dangerous if you're doing it right, but it's also safe if you're doing it right. So what you have to look at is, how can we certify this so that people feel safe taking the kids? I mean, I drive down the road sometimes and I'll see signs, so-and-so martial arts or whatever, or karate club, ages 3 to 6 or 3 to adult. So you're going to put a 3-year-old child in an environment where the person teaching that child has no certification or has no recognition for teaching or instructing these techniques. You're going to put your child in that kind of a position. You should really have a good look around. This should be the basis for anybody who's thinking of taking up martial arts training. Look around. Don't just go to the local club. Oh, Mrs. So-and-so takes her kids there and it's great. That's not a real recommendation, right? I mean, Mrs. So-and-so's kids might grow up to be serial killers. You don't know. But on the other side, you don't know if the instructor is or not. So this is why I've always advocated for a governing body to take it up. Now, we do have governing bodies, but membership is entirely voluntary. And the thing with governing bodies, because they have access to government funds, they become very, very political. And very often those funds are just used to ferry around the head people in the organization, take them to world championships. I mean, and there's a world championship every week these days. So it's kind of ludicrous, but they'll use the money for that. Now, I coached Alberta provincial team for almost 17 years. And when I did, I demanded a budget from the board. And I got the budget because, let's face it, a karate association or martial arts association should be there purely for the benefit of the students and not for the benefit of the president or the vice president or everybody else who hangs on, particularly officials, right? When you officiate, it's like instructing. It's your way of giving back. But you see officials who've never been in a competition, way more junior than the people that they're officiating, all right, and probably a lot less knowledgeable. So I'm not saying that's the same in every case, but I've seen it. People, they just want to officiate, so they think they get a black belt and they can do it. Oh, I know what a point looks like and all the rest of it, and they haven't got a clue. But it's exactly the same when you're looking at certification. People get a black belt and straight away they think, okay, I'm going to open a club. Now, I know there's one particular association in Alberta, and that's what they do. As soon as you get your black belt, they demand that you open a club and you send a portion of your membership fees to the senior organization, and they do all the grading, and they demand that you grade every 3 months. And being honest, the parent organization that's making all this money has no more certification than anybody else. In fact, probably a lot less. I've seen some ludicrous grading exams where people are trying to move up through the ranks, and let's face it, grading is just a way of telling you how far along the path you've come. You shouldn't really need it if you have confidence in your own ability, but in a Western martial arts world, everybody wants to know where they are, whether I'm higher than this guy or higher than that guy. It's a way of looking down on people who are maybe lower than you, okay? So what this kind of situation does is it encourages fakes and imposters, and there's a ton of them around. You can go on YouTube, you can go on Facebook, any social media platform, and you'll see these guys, and they come in all shapes and sizes. There's the no-touch experts who kind of throw a wave of energy at you and everybody falls down. I have one-word comment for all of them, and I put it on as many of these posts as I see, and that's wanker. Wanker's an English word, and basically the meaning is one who pleasures himself, right? So you can take that in any context you like, but to me, they're all wankers. They're not worth knowing. And you get imposters, and the imposters are the guys who've got a 10th dan in about 6 or 7 disciplines. Believe me, it takes a lot to get as far as, say, Godan in any genuine karate organization or martial arts organization. They don't just throw dans at you. I just did grading for some of my students, and we got 2 new yondans. Now, my grading syllabus is online. It's on our site, and it states there exactly what you have to do for each grade. And I tell people what I'm looking for, so there's no trick thing. This is what I'm looking for. This is where you should be, and this is what you need to attain to. So I think we got 2 new yondans, and a large part of their grading is a paper that they have to write, okay? And they basically have to do a research paper, and it can be on any subject, just not biographical. I'm not interested in your journey through life. I'm interested in what you know about karate. Now, believe it or not, I've kept every paper I've ever been presented with or ever had to look at for grading people, and some of them are just biographical. All they want to do is tell you what a hard job it was for them to get where they are and all that. That's not what we want. What we want is basically I take the paper and I look at what they've written, and for instance, if they've written maybe on kime or stance or breathing, all right, how much they understand it. And one of the first questions I'll ask them is, what did you learn when you were researching and writing this paper? Very often that'll tell you a lot. We also asked them to cite their sources, so it wasn't just something they made up out of their head or chat GPT and AI thing. We can recognize them a mile away. And then I'll ask them to demonstrate exactly what they mean for certain aspects of their research. Further parts of the grading include kata. Any kata, we pick a kata, they don't get to choose. And then they can do a takui kata. And then we'll ask them to demonstrate certain aspects of the kata that they've chosen. And finally, what I'll do is I'll take a lower grade. It could be anything from a white belt to a nidan. And I'll ask them to show me a drill and then show me one thing that will make a difference in how that student performs the drill. So they need to have a really good look. They've got to have the wits about them. And what this does is it tells me exactly how good an instructor they'd make or how good a karate person they are, because they understand in depth about what they're supposed to be doing and what they're supposed to be teaching, if in fact they are instructors. Now, being an instructor is not an easy job, I can tell you. I've been doing it for 40, 50 years. I was teaching at the Triangle before I came to Canada, and almost immediately I came to Canada, I realized if I want to get any further in karate, I'm going to have to do it myself, kind of thing. So I opened a club, and then I kept going up and down to Nishiyama's. I'd bring people in, I'd go out to seminars, and I'd work. And you go through the process, and some of you may have heard the term shuhari. Shuhari is 3 stages of your karate. Now, it's not mandatory that you go through 3 stages, and it certainly doesn't going to make you any better if you do the 3 stages of shuhari, okay? So shu is where you take in everything your instructor tells you and you perform it to the best of your ability. So you've mastered the basics, you understand what your body is doing, the body mechanics and the physiology and all the fundamentals, you can make them work. So this is shu. And ha is where you kind of experiment a little bit and find out what's good for your body and how to make it better. And then re, you go out and you get experiences maybe from other styles, maybe from other countries, and it ends up where you make your karate your own. Now, you don't have to go through all those stages. You can make your karate your own. In fact, it should be your own from white belt up to, say, Shodan Nidan. Okay, once you say a Nidan, your karate is your own. Now, your instructor may give you little insights here and there from where he is in his journey, because he's probably gone past that. And hopefully you'll take every experience you can without the mistakes and gain from that. So we've just had a bunch of our guys, 12 senior students, just got back from Okinawa yesterday, actually. And they didn't train in Shotokan in Okinawa. They trained in Shorin-ryu and Goju. And I've always liked Goju. When I was doing my international refereeing courses, we had to learn other styles, katas, just so that we knew what we were looking at. And Goju was some of the katas that I liked. I also like Shitaru as well, but basically what you're looking for when you're judging kata is a general overall impression. And then if you know what you're looking for, the body mechanics and everything else. Myself, I'm not into the ego style of kata. And if you know me, you know, that's one of my mantras, kata without ego and form follows function. So somebody who marches on, takes 5 seconds over a bow, got a perfectly ironed gi, and then does pauses where you could go and have a coffee while you're waiting for the next move. Sorry, I'm not into that. That's pure ego. And unfortunately, people get medals for this. Not into it, okay? The other thing, when you're looking at instruction and the evolution of karate, as I said, fakes and imposters are wankers. The other thing that I don't agree with, and what caused me to kind of pick up a microphone today, was I'm looking at a page on the internet. This is a news page I follow every day. And there's like 3 adverts on there for online learning courses, okay? Learn karate online and get your certification online. It's the biggest load of rubbish going, right? You might as well say, get your Olympic swimming medal online. It just doesn't work. Karate Interdo interactive manuals and all this. Yeah, you can buy manuals, but if you're going to work through them in the confines of a club with the guidance of an instructor who can instruct you, okay? Just doing this online stuff, and I know people make money out of it, and some pretty reputable karateka make money out of it. It's just not something that I can do. You can't see your students most of the time. You certainly can't see all of them. And if you've got 7, 8, or 9 people on a screen, you've no idea where everybody's foot is, where all the hands are, whether they're doing the thing properly or not doing the thing properly. So it's just, to me, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. Evolution of karate, particularly in the ethics side of it, is probably a good thing. I mean, you know, we all know there's been some pretty dodgy characters that have been teaching over the years, and thankfully, you know, we see a lot of them. But then again, there's probably some that we don't see, that don't make the news and all the rest of it. And you just got to be careful. So ethics and morals are set by the instructor and the association, and they should be set by example. And we have a couple of rules in our club which we've brought in over the years, and one of them is the 2-on-2 rule. So we never have a single instructor and a single student, especially a junior. There's always at least 2 instructors or 2 students. We also have cameras on the dojo floor, okay? We have cameras on the dojo floor, and that's for our safety and that's for the students' safety. So I can review a camera every time somebody said, oh, so-and-so didn't break fall properly and they broke their arm. And we have had that where somebody's taken a throw, fell down. Most serious thing we ever had was a dislocated elbow. And when we reviewed it on the tape, we could see that the guy fell right on his elbow. There was no attempt at a break fall. And yes, we do teach break falls. We teach throws. We teach you how to take a break fall. In fact, I went and did a seminar on it in Tokyo just a couple of years ago. Funakoshi's 9 throws. But before that seminar, I took over an hour teaching them all how to break fall, side fall, front fall, back fall, and made sure we had good mats on the floor. And this is an important part of your karate training, because if you're doing a reputable martial arts, there's throws, there's sweeps, there's strikes, there's impact all over the place, headbutts, everything is in that style. It's not all pure stand back, kick him in the head, step back, get a point. It's not the way life works. I wish it was, but it's not. Anyway, the ethics and your morals that you set up in your dojo should be explained to everybody, and they should be known by everybody before they get off the floor. So in my club, I have a list of rules. They're on my office door, and I tell people, go and read them. Once you read the rules, hopefully you'll kneel down at the entrance to the dojo, or you'll bow if there's no class in progress, and you'll know the etiquette that we use to keep discipline within the club, and that discipline is for your safety and everybody else's. So ethics, morals, responsibilities, all part of an instructor certification. And this is what we should espouse to, is getting a certification that's recognized by people, so the ordinary average person can take their kid to a club, or they can go join a club, and they know that this instructor is certified to do what he says he's doing. Okay, so little rant over today. Thanks a lot for your time. As always, any questions, queries, comments, I'll be glad to hear from you.